I don't know about all of you, but when I pick Niao's Bones, I'm looking for something truly rare. Arcane Scroll is rare, but Lead Paperweight can have many rare options as well. You could get Salvo, you could get Master of Strategy, or you can even get Rolling Boulder, the best rare card in this game. But unfortunately I didn't get any rares now. I got two very good uncommons, and Panic Button is one of my favorite colorless cards you can get. But did you all know that your search for rare cards will never be fulfilled by Lead Paperweight? Ever. Yeah, I did some testing with just a few more Lead Paperweights, and you may notice that the two cards for this first one are uncommon. Splash is amazing. But, oh look, more uncommon colorless cards. And guess what happens if I just spam click until I get through all the Lead Paperweights there, my dear viewer? Yep, nothing but blue as far as the eye can see. This is something I didn't know about. I did not see it noted down anywhere. But no matter how many Lead Paperweights I ever gave myself, I never got any colorless cards except for uncommons. No rares ever. Now, this isn't necessarily the worst news in the world. Even uncommon colorless cards still have great effect, like Splash and Shockwave. Very, very good cards per long. But it's very interesting that this is a mechanic at all, given it's not mentioned anywhere in Lead Paperweight's description. So this is what this video is all about today, to all my viewers out there. I am going to be doing a lot of random experimentation and sharing the secrets I learn with you all that I haven't really seen covered anywhere else on the internet. And if you learn anything from this video, you have to leave a like. But if you know all 10 facts I have to share with you today, then feel free to leave a dislike. Now, let's go on into the world of random nonsense and secrets in Slay the Spire 2. Well, I wonder if you can all guess what card I'm going to explain to you today. Yeah, Misery is one of the more overlooked but very, very effective cards in the Necrobinder's toolkit. And how the heck did I only draw 3 Miseries? I have probably like 40 of them in my draw pile, whatever. We tend to forget how many debuffs exist in Slay the Spire 2. Sure, there's weak potions, weak and vulnerable, easy debuffs to remember, and easy ones to spread in fights with more than one enemy. But did you know there are debuffs that we can't apply without Misery? For example, this icon on the screen right here indicates a debuff. Imbalanced. If Bullbug Rock's attacks are fully blocked, it becomes stunned. This is a debuff that can be spread to other enemies with Misery. And I believe it is the only possible way this debuff can be applied to other enemies. So now that we've given it to everyone else in this battle, if we ever can get some block up, then everyone will be stunned and it will be extremely easy to deal with them. And I get annoyed by these guys, so this is a very useful effect. An effect I could showcase if I had less Miseries and more blocks in my deck. Give me a sec. Wow, we got 2 delays. And now you will see the first time ever that a non-boulder carrying bug is stunned. Probably not the first time ever, I'm sure someone's done this before, but yeah, Misery, for all of its other benefits, is also basically an answer to any encounter that has the imbalanced status effect. Pretty cool. And let's continue with talking about debuffs and Misery, and also the Unsettling Lamp. The imbalanced debuff is not traditional, and there's a lot of other not traditional debuffs you can get by throwing potions, like Powdered Demise. But even though we have Unsettling Lamp, Powdered Demise was not doubled when it was applied to this bug. Why is that? Well, I think the explanation will be clear when we use Misery on him. Yes, the lamp activated when we used Misery and not when we threw the Powdered Demise potions, and this is all based on the actual wording of the Unsettling Lamp. It specifically says that every time you play a card that applies debuffs, the debuff will be doubled. So Unsettling Lamp does not double debuffs like Powdered Demise. The only way you could ever double this debuff with the Unsettling Lamp is by reapplying it using the card Misery. The only way to use a card to apply potion debuffs. And it's very effective. Having Misery, Unsettling Lamp, and Powdered Demise is amazing to look at. But let's just go into another non-traditional debuff that you can only get through a potion. Beetlejuice. Knowing that this works with Misery and Unsettling Lamp makes it a very, very effective strategy against multi-enemy bosses like Queen. Just throw that beetle juice on the lamp bearer and double it using the Unsettling Lamp and Misery so that the queen stays tiny and damageless for as long as possible. The event you get with the Lantern Key in Act 3 gives you 2 amazing rewards, the History Course or 2 relics and 2 potions. But what happens if you come here with 2 keys to unlock both options? Well, in the past, ᵖᵒᵇ did not allow you to pick more than 1 reward, even when you had 2 Lantern Keys. So if you picked the second option and didn't free Reppy, he would get mad at you. Not going to free the Scholar Reppy? Based on classical philosophy, you would be considered a moral failure. Yeah, all the dialogue was written as if it was impossible to free him. But in a recent update, ᵖᵒᵇ made it so that you could free Reppy with a second key. And he would give a sigh of relief saying, "Oh, you really had me going there, man." Which is a fun detail and a way you can finally get all these rewards from this event. But what if you had more than 2 Lantern Keys? There's a lot of ways to duplicate items in Slay the Spire 2, so say we had 4 keys. Well, to begin with, if you have even 1 Lantern Key in Act 3, then anytime you go to a question mark, the event will instantly become the War Historian Reppy event. Just so they make sure you never waste your time and don't get History Course or your rewards. And interestingly enough, you can use 1 Lantern Key to get a reward, and if you have 3 Lantern Keys left, you use all 3 of them. And if you have 10 left, you would use all 10 of them. ᵖᵒᵇ makes it so that anytime you use a second key at this event, it will take away every Lantern Key you have left. Mostly so I think you can't duplicate History Course. If it only took 1 key, then because the Lantern Keys spawned this event in the future, you would be able to get multiple History Courses. So it doesn't make sense that opening 1 box will take away 10 Lantern Keys, but for a balancing purpose, I suppose it does. No duplicate relics for us today, everyone. And in the middle of researching that multiple Lantern Key secret, I was faced with another more distressing secret. Bing Bong is the easiest way that you can get multiple Lantern Keys, since you can get Bing Bong in Act 2, and then you can get the Lantern Key event in Act 2. But, say you wanted to do the same test I did, and you wanted 3 or 4 Lantern Keys. Then, my mind said, why not just buy a Dolly's Mirror? It's the easiest way to duplicate cards in this game. But as you can see, all my viewers out there, it is apparently not the way to get more than 1 copy of the Lantern Key, because it is not available even though it is clearly in my deck. So what is going on here? Well, it appears Dolly Mirror, despite not saying so, can't duplicate every kind of card you can have in your deck, which is blatantly false advertising, I must say, first of all. And second of all, I had to go and figure out what else couldn't be duplicated by Dolly's Mirror. So what I did is I gave myself a different quest card in Verdanus Egg and a curse in Doubt. So I wanted to see maybe if it was a Lantern Key specific problem, and if you could duplicate curses. But with my second Dolly's Mirror, you can duplicate curses, and you can't duplicate the Verdanus Egg. So this implies that Dolly's Mirror is incapable of duplicating any quest card in Slay the Spire 2, which is kind of unfortunate, because I know with Verdanus Egg, if you have more than 1 copy of it and you hatch it, all of your copies of Verdanus Egg get hatched at once, which is a genuine good use for Dolly's Mirror. But as things stand, I guess you're just gonna have to duplicate your curses. Hooray. Okay, let's move on from this actually meaningful stuff and go into the dumb secrets I love. We have Silken Tress and ᵖᵒᵇᵃ, 2 amazing relics. I am very partial to Silken Tress whenever it appears on the screen just because it has the chance to make a broken build in the first encounter in the game. But one thing I noticed while I was doing some testing in this game is that Silken Tress has a unique visual effect when it activates. You saw earlier in this video when I activated Unsettling Lamp that relics give a certain effect whenever they're activated. And you know what happens when these 2 relics are activated by opening the card reward? Well, one of them gives the normal effect, ᵖᵒᵇᵃ. Silken Tress is a lot more excited about being activated though. Yeah, I truly don't understand it either. Maybe they're just trying to showcase that it's a major effect, you're getting replay instead of just an upgraded card. But for whatever reason, from what I've seen, this is the only relic that has this massive effect. I thought maybe the Crucible did it too on its last effect, but no, it looks the same on every card it upgrades, and it's only the Silken Tress who's so big and ostentatious that it has to, I guess, buff itself up? I don't know. This is not a meaningful secret for anything. It's probably not even a glitch. Like, it's just a design choice that ᵖᵒᵇ decided to make. They wanted to show you how incredible Silken Tress was by giving it the largest activate effect in the game. Or they made a mistake and it's supposed to have the same effect as every other relic, but who cares? It's funny, I like seeing it, and I hope you like knowing about it too. I've got a pretty standard card I'm showing to you all right now, Big Bang. You know, it has a lot of effects to it, and it has one more effect because it was enchanted, and if it's upgraded, it gets the innate effect. And as you saw with the innate effect, it made all of the other text smaller on this card. And what I'm trying to see is that if we can add enough keywords to one card, what happens? Does the text become unreadable? Does it go off the screen? So now I have cards that'll give effects in battle, like Snap to give it Retain, Hand Trick to give it Sly, Sculpting Strike to give it Ethereal, and Transfigure to give it Replay. And I'm getting all these cards together with these potions in one battle. I'm also fighting the Infested Prism, cause Big Bang is a skill, and all skills get tainted on their card description when you're fighting the Infested Prism. So, I got Hand Trick, I'm gonna cut back to when I have every setup card I need, and we'll see what this crazy card looks like. Well, finally drawn everything I need in one turn, and I truly don't know what will happen once this card gets overloaded with keywords. Right now, it looks like they just get smaller and smaller, but it's possible they just won't be able to fit on the card given enough things. And actually, it looks like that's what's happened. You may have seen it briefly, but yeah, the keywords no longer fit on the card and they get cut off when you add enough of them at once. And this isn't even probably necessary with Big Bang, because we've already achieved this and we didn't even need to play Transfigure yet, which we need more energy for. Hooray, I got more energy. Okay, so now I think this is probably the most keywords you can add to a card at once, and from what it looks like, only 8 of them are visible at once. The exhaust description, I think, is off screen. And this is a crazy screenshot for just any normal game player in Slay the Spire 2. I don't really think this is a genuine issue. Like, there doesn't need to be a whole patch to fix the fact that some of the keywords become invisible when too many get stacked. It is a very funny thing to see though, especially when I can pull it up in the exhaust pile and see the mountains of text for all the random nonsense this one card has been made to do. Well, maybe we should leave it like this, or if you do want to change this ᵖᵒᵇ, you got to make sure that all the text becomes so tiny it's illegible. Now, I'll see you on the next secret. Well, everyone, welcome back our good old friend Unsettling Lamp, which we have learned a lot about in the course of this video so far. But I'm afraid after this fact, the Unsettling Lamp will no longer be your friend, but will be your enemy. You see, Unsettling Lamp works normally in 99% of cases. If I use Falling Star here, I'll get 2 weak and 2 vulnerable instead of 1 weak and 1 vulnerable. I had hoped that when you apply it to something like Strength Loss, the enemy would lose 2 strength and gain 1 strength back at the end of the turn. But that's not the case. It loses 2 strength and it gains 2 strength back at the end of the turn. Only makes sense for balancing purposes, and I guess the strength gain is also considered a debuff. But let me ask you all this, my dear viewers. If the Unsettling Lamp works perfectly fine for Crush Under, an ability that lowers 1 strength in a turn, then what do you think will happen when I use the Unsettling Lamp with Monarch's Gaze, another ability that lets you lower an enemy's strength by 1 per turn, and another card that's specific to the Regent? Well, if you guessed that it would lower the enemy's strength by 1 and not activate the Unsettling Lamp at all, congratulations, you were correct. And I would love to hear your justification for it, because we just saw the lamp work with the strength lowering effect applied by a card. We just played a card to lower the enemy's strength by 1, and it did not apply the Unsettling Lamp's effects at all. The description says, each combat, the first time you play a card that debuffs an enemy, double its effect. We played the Strike, and it debuffed the enemy, much like how we played the Misery before, and that debuffed the enemy. Misery doesn't have an inherent debuff, just like Strike doesn't have an inherent debuff. But if ᵖᵒᵇ could make it so that the effect applied by the card gets counted under the Unsettling Lamp's effects, then why couldn't they do it with Monarch's Gaze? Do they just want Monarch's Gaze to be the worst power in the game? Do they have absolutely no faith that it could ever be useful, so they just knocked it into the ground to begin with? You know what? This isn't even an Unsettling Gaze anger at this point. This is a Monarch's Gaze anger. I am now a Monarch's Gaze hate channel. Well, I'm glad I'm done with all the secrets relating to the actual game, because now let me cover the bestiary. One of the best features in Slay the Spire 2 because of some discoveries I've made in regards to it recently. Normally it just plays animations, but let's just say that under construction text in the top left corner of the screen is very apt, especially for a lot of these enemies that you can click on. For example, the Log of Wool and Matriarch, you click on the sleep action, it sleeps, and it gets some Z effects there. But if you spam it, the Z's will just continue forever, because the effects don't work the same as the animations. They will continue to play even after you're done pressing them, because the game essentially spawned in too many effects, and they just don't get stopped when you stop clicking on the sleep. And this kind of logic makes a lot of problems in certain enemies like the Ceremonial Beast. You can play the Ceremonial Beast's normal animations and they'll all work fine, until you get to the one that they're most famous for, the Plow, where they run across the screen, hit you, and come back. It has effects in the background, so look what happens when you spam Plow in the bestiary. Yeah, I'd hazard to guess that this is not working the way that it was intended to when ᵖᵒᵇ first implemented the bestiary, but I love it all the same. Even when you're done with it, it's too powerful, the Ceremonial Beast has overtaken the screen, and you can even switch on to other creatures while all these effects are going, and they will carry over fine because they're independent to the actions that are happening on screen right now. Snapping Jackfruit, how would you like the power of the Ceremonial Beast for a second? I hope you enjoyed that. And because the bestiary is so fantastic, this is not just the number 9 secret, but also the last secret. Yes, there is one specific boss at the end of this game that has one of the most fantastic bestiaries I've ever seen. Just absolutely flawless, truly. And it's something I discovered in the course of making this video. And it's not the Aeon class, but I would like to point out that they just have no animations, which is funny. I know it's, it's early access boss, new boss, but it is just funny to see them in here with no animations. No, the one who's got the best bestiary is the test subject. The test subject doesn't actually have that many animations. Given how many different phases it has, you'd expect it to have more. But the most interesting animation we can play here is the respawn one for the test subject. Did you all notice what just happened when I clicked that? You probably didn't. But you might have noticed now that clicking respawn multiple times zooms in on the test subject, or makes them larger. So what happens if we just spam respawn over and over again? Well, it appears that ᵖᵒᵇ forgot that this happens, so we just get to balloon the test subject up to massive sizes, to the point where they're off the screen, they're going over the UI, they're taking over everything, and you can use all the other animations. None of them adjust its size, except for respawn, and I had hoped that this would transfer over to other bestiary entries. It does not, sadly. It's not that broken, and when you come back, the test subject is the same size as always, but let's not let that stop us. Let's give him a big boost so that we can... This is so dumb, I'm sorry. This is just one of the funniest discoveries, one of the funniest glitches that's in this game right now, and I'm pretty sure it's in this game still for all of you watching right now. So if you have Slay the Spire 2, go out, go to the test subject, and get this happen to you. It's an amazing experience, and I hope all of you enjoyed this whole video. Did you know all of these secrets? If you knew this secret, you are in great company, because this is a secret that only the greatest video game players can ever experience. As I said, if you knew everything, then feel free to leave a dislike. If you didn't, please leave a like and subscribe to Killboy Was Here for more extremely important video game information like this. Goodbye to test subject, and goodbye to all you viewers.